Now, the NSPCC is urging the government to start teaching primary school children about domestic abuse after revealing it's seen a 23% rise in teenagers getting in contact about abusive relationships over the last 2 years. This is an exclusive line we've got from the NSPCC this morning.
Well, the Children's Charity provided us with examples of some of the messages they've heard from youngsters who are as young as 14. Have a listen.
I've tried so many times to end it, but he always pulls me back in. He's threatened to kill himself if I don't take him back, and it's hard not to believe him. I don't want to be under his control anymore.
During my last relationship, my ex-girlfriend made me unfriend all my female friends. I'm struggling to get those friends back now. What they remember is me video calling my girlfriend all the time when we were hanging out and then avoiding them entirely. They don't know it's because my girlfriend made me do that to prove where I was and wasn't happy with me having female friends. It feels so hard to explain that's what was going on.
My boyfriend always apologises after it happens. He says he hates himself for hitting me, for always needing my money to pay for things, for needing so much of my time and attention. I do love him. We've been together so long already, but at the same time, I feel trapped.
There's a lot there, isn't there? Kacey and Hookie was involved in an abusive relationship when she was just 17 years old, and she joins us now along with family law barrister Dr Charlotte Proudman, who specialises in domestic abuse cases. Kacey, thank you very much for coming to talk to us. I know you've not spoken about this before, spoken on television before, but it's because you're so passionate to reach out to young girls and young boys, as we heard there, about spotting the signs. How did it all begin for you?
When I first met Taylor, it was amazing. He was like a knight in shining armour. Everything was perfect. And within 3 months, it all changed.
Gosh, I mean, and you're 17, the hormones are everywhere.
17,
just turned 17, very young. How did it change? How did it...
Within 3 months, I was not allowed to talk to friends and family.
Gosh.
Wasn't allowed to wear certain items of clothing. Wasn't allowed social media. Wasn't allowed in certain shops.
Did you pick up that you were being controlled, or is it more difficult than that at any age, to be honest, let alone at that age?
Yeah, I wouldn't say no. In the moment, I didn't look at it and think, this is what's going on. I was so wrapped up and consumed in it that I didn't see the outside signs.
And wanted to please him?
Yeah, yeah.
But he was controlling you, coercive control, but he then started with threats.
Yeah.
Very serious physical threats.
Yeah. There was a lot of threats to family. If I ever left, he would seriously harm my family, me, my friends. And
obviously you believed him, because if someone said that to you, you're in that situation.
The serious threats towards family and friends, that's what stopped me from leaving. Because I genuinely believe that's what would happen.
Golly. So you must have felt frightened and alone.
Yeah.
And what was there around you? What did you do to try and break this sort of sense of trap?
When I left, I phoned the police and actually just left my house. I packed a bag.
So you were living with him by this
I
point?
had my own house and he was living there. And the morning that I decided to leave, I packed my bag, phoned the police, and I just left the house and went to my mum's and never looked back.
Gosh.
How old were you then when you...
18.
And how old was he, by the way?
So when I met him, I was 17, he was 19.
So he was 2 years older.
So he was 21 when I left him.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it must have taken you a long time to deal with this. And Kacey, actually, we're desperate to hear what you say. We want to make sure the mic's working perfectly. So let me come to Charlotte in the meantime. Charlotte, you know, you can... Obviously, Kacey's clever, bright, switched on, adorable, you know, and yet she found herself in this situation. The frightening thing is the NSPCC are getting calls from youngsters who are 14 and even younger, actually. Why do you think that is? Why are they becoming victims in a way that we perhaps haven't recognised before, and what should be done about it?
Yes, I mean, it is quite frightening. You know, we're seeing instances of primary school children having said they're being victims of domestic abuse or what we might categorise as coercive, controlling behaviour. And we know that there's more prevalence of this in society. Or is it the case that more children are speaking up about it? Why is it? I think the growth of social media counts for a lot, particularly with the growth of misogynistic influencers. I hate to say it, but the likes of Andrew Tate and the rise of toxic masculinity. And we know that the proliferation of pornography, which is easily accessible to primary school children and above, can result in, you know, further misogynistic and abusive attitudes and reenacting that similar behaviour upon young girls.
Is modelling the wrong thing, and both ways, women to men as well.
Kacey, you know, the current sort of advice to schools, this is for secondary schools, is that schools are advised not to teach about the details of violent abuse before year 9, and it's important that pupils are not introduced to distressing concepts when they're too young to understand them. Do you agree with that, or do you think that the world has changed now?
No, I think it should be taught. I think young children should be made aware of the warning signs and what to look out for and what to not to accept in a relationship.
Do you think teachers will be able, if you think back to the time that you're at school, do you look back at you, I don't know, if choose any teacher in your head, do you think they would be able to express this? Some teachers will be good
Not
at it, some teachers
necessarily, maybe teachers, no.
Right.
But having somebody come into schools and teach about it, yeah.
Well, you would be great to do that. You'd be very busy if you're going around to every primary school. But what would you say right now here to youngsters who could be watching before school, maybe thinking, gosh, this is ringing a bell with me. What are the warning signs and how would you have handled it differently now?
I wish the minute the coercive control in terms of friends and family, like they are the biggest warning signs, isolating you, making you dependent on them. Like, because at that point then, once I was isolated from family and friends, I felt like I was on my own. I was a shell of myself with him and I only had him. So I think that that's a good warning sign that you need to look out for, is why do they want you away from everybody?
And Charlotte, what would you say as well? Because perhaps some of the youngsters, 13, 14, are more likely to be, you know, at home, and so it would be a slightly different isolation than Kacey went through. What would you say to them are the warning signs?
I mean, first, I'd just say how fantastic and brilliant it is that Kacey's spoken out, and brave and courageous of her, and no doubt others that are watching that may feel that it's resonating with them, and to seek support and help when that does happen. I mean, there's the NSPCC who've brilliantly put out the news that they have. There's Women's Aid, Refuge, Rape Crisis, other organisations that they can seek support, and hopefully with further education in schools, they will have other teachers to be able to turn to, particularly safeguarding leads.
Kacey, we should say, I mean, your ex-boyfriend, but I think call him just your abuser. I don't think he deserves that title, but he was found guilty and he received a jail sentence. So justice prevailed. But really, it's not just about that. Everyone at home wants to know how you are. I mean, you know, are you able to even put trust in boys again, into men again?
When I left, I never thought I would ever be able to be anywhere near another man, ever. I never wanted to. I was too scared. I thought, that's it now, I'm done. Like, I never want to experience that again. But I'm now at a point in my life that I'm finally being loved correctly. And
that's lovely.
Being appreciated for me. And that is how it should be. And every girl should feel like that. They should feel like the only woman in the world. And they should feel beautiful every day. And they shouldn't wake up scared. And I think for me, that's the biggest thing.
This is so important, and what a great thing to be able to say, because that shows there's light at the end of the tunnel. Thank you so much.
Back 17-year-old Kacey never would have imagined her now. Never.
Well, fantastic, and thank you so much for your bravery, for talking out about it, because you'll have helped so many people, and Charlotte, you too. Thank you so much indeed. Thank you.
Now, we do have a response from the government, who have said all abuse is abhorrent, and this government is determined to root it out as part of our mission to halve violence against women and girls through our Plan for change.
They should hire Kacey, shouldn't they? And if you have been affected by any of the issues that we've been talking about, you can always find advice and support at itv.com/helplines.
And please do.